Hey, this is Joey Boardwine. You are on the Journey podcast. We are doing episode number 1 with Jessica Hughes from Central Texas. This is going to be an exciting podcast that you'll get a chance to learn about Jessica and her journey in life. And we're excited to get started. Jessica, how you doing this morning?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. So I've been wanting to do something with podcasting for a while. So this whole thing with Pace pushed me to get going. And so you're officially the first guest of what I think will be a cool podcast.
I'm honored. I wish I was in your part of the world and not my laundry room to do this, but because it looks really gorgeous where you are. And I'm just excited. I think I'm excited to be here with you, but also pretending I'm with you like in person.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in SoCal, so we're right where like Orange County and LA County touch in Long Beach, kind of like Long Beach, Seal Beach area. And but you're in a great neck of the woods. Central Texas is a good spot, right?
Yeah, but I love the beach, and I can hear the birds by where you are. So I'm just kind of pretending. But because the beach, you can't. I mean, I don't care what anyone says. There is just nothing more beautiful than. I mean, California is just gorgeous. So it's gorgeous.
It is. I always joke with my friends from the Midwest. I have family back home that California is the land of everything. People will say, "Well, don't they do this there, or isn't it like this?" And the answer usually is yes, but it's also ding ding ding, or
you
yes,
put up with it because it's so gorgeous.
Yeah. So, and then anything you want, you can usually get here and go really deep into it. So, it's a cool place for sure.
Yeah, I love it. I don't think I've ever been. I don't think I've ever had a bad trip out there in any part of the state, north, central, south. It's so fun. People are so nice there too.
Yeah. 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 I think people should come here and just check for themselves. Some of my friends from out here, if I go back, let's say to the east or to the south, which I love the South, they sometimes they have their own like stereotypes about the South. So if I were to go and visit Alabama, when I come back to California, they'll say something like, "What were you doing there? Like, why would you ever want to go there?"
Oh no, Alabama.
Yeah. I'm like, no, it's awesome. It's actually really awesome. The people are awesome.
Yeah.
And what's funny is when you're in Alabama, let's say at a really cool bar or hanging out and you're with amazing people, they'll say, "Wait, what time's your flight? Where are you going to?" "Oh, I'm going to California." "Oh, I'm sorry." They'll like give you some grief,
It's funny because I always thought Texas was the friendliest place, and then I was in Oklahoma, and
oh yeah,
God, they're so nice there. And I said, I can't believe it, but I think Oklahoma's even more friendly than Texas.
Yes.
But like I said, when it's hard to just say one place is this way. It's just it's individuals are nice or not. It's the person. But
right.
I have to say, I love California. I love visiting, but it's expensive.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And speaking of expensive and talking money a little bit, so you are like really doubling down on these ideas you had to get into real estate, and now you're getting into it, and you're not like 23, so you've lived some life for sure. Like, what got you thinking that you wanted to get into real estate?
Well, I hate the answer that everyone gives, and everyone already knows it before you say it. But I was reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, like everyone, and it kind of just shook me up. And part of it was because it was COVID, and my husband and I both are podiatrists, and at the time we both couldn't work, and they shut us down. And then our company is a very, I guess, benevolent company, and they asked that all the doctors forego their pay to keep the company afloat and to pay all the employees. And there's over 400 employees. So,
wow.
And so we did that, and it was really scary. It was really scary not having income. And then it also scared me that my husband and I are both in the same field. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, this isn't good. We're in the same thing. And a lot of my friends that work remotely, they're like, yeah, no problem, working from home, doing fine, making their money. And it was kind of more of the fear of that. And then trying to think, that was really what started it. I mean, I don't own any real estate currently, but just thinking like, okay, my kids are going to go to college one day. I work part-time. This might be a good thing to get into because it's something I can do to to provide income in case something like that ever happens again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where it was more of like, oh, wow, we really need to be doing something else here.
Yeah, kind of shook you up. So how long did that go on for while things were bona fide where you were?
I would have to ask my husband. I don't know, to be honest with you, but it was enough to where it scared me. I'll put it to you that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think a lot of the physicians I work with are already business savvy to owning real estate and owning different things, but you don't talk about it. People don't never talk about it. And then I'm like, wait, why don't I know about this? What's going on? And it's literally like, oh, wow, a lot of doctors are doing this. A lot of people do this. They just don't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's why I love Pace so much, is because he's not afraid to talk about it, and he'll teach you and talk more than anyone else about it and give you free advice and information, which is so wonderful, because that's just kind of opened up this whole other world. And I'm teaching my kids too. Hey, you need to learn about this.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. There's something about COVID that definitely it had this effect on me, and I'm sure lots and lots of other people that I've talked to have said that, but it made you realize like how little freedom you have, to kind of like make your own call or your own decision or make your own money, we'll say, or make money without, you just realize how easily it could be taken from you.
Exactly.
So it just seemed like it really pushed people lots of people, and not on all sides of all types of political and other types of thinking, just started to think like, you know what, I want to go somewhere where I can go where I want and do what I want and make money. And people just started thinking more kind of that way, a little less. They didn't want to be controlled, which is a natural reaction.
Well, that's why a lot of people from California moved here. I mean, it's crazy how many people. There's bumper stickers. Now, don't take offense to this, because I love California, but there's bumper stickers. Yeah, there's bumper stickers. Please do not Californicate Texas, or please do not because so many people moved here, especially Austin.
Yeah.
And so, I guess it's just different. Texas is different. Texas is a state of mind, but the reason people moved is for the freedom. It wasn't even just financial. It was just freedom, period. And it's funny you say that, because that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do medicine, is especially being a physician, because in my head, I don't know if it's true anymore. In my head, being a doctor meant freedom. But now I'm realizing to a degree, because you really are trapped. And I love what I do, and I love patients, but just speaking from like a personal level, you have to be there to work. You can't. And I thought, oh, cool. I liked that we could go online and talk to patients, but with what I do, it's really a hands-on thing. And again, I love my patients. I love what I do, but I'm also wanting freedom, to be able to go and live and not wait till I'm 70 to do all that. And so if you don't work, you don't make money. And it's just a weird field, it depends on how you're set up as a physician. But if you're paid by the hospital, you're an employee. Okay, that's one direction. But a lot of doctors in private practice, it's kind of like you make what you do, but you're hoping you get paid. It's very weird, because you send a bill to the insurance company, and I don't know, probably close to a third of the time they don't pay. Maybe it's a little, maybe it's a quarter, but they'll say they didn't get the claim. A number was wrong on the insurance information. They have different ways of not paying. Sometimes they're correct in what they're saying, and sometimes it's just an excuse not to pay. Before electronic submission for claims, oh man, they would just say, "Oh, we lost it. We never got it." It's kind of that would be like, you should interview someone who used to work at an insurance company in like the 90s.
Right.
Podcast right there.
Right. And pull the veil back on that whole thing. That's
so, yeah. And so it's kind of a weird thing. I mean, but in the end, I do it because I really do. When I'm in the room with a patient, I'm really 100% there to help them with whatever it is they need help with. I'm not thinking about anything else, but other than, how can I help this person get better? It can't be about the money anymore. If it's about the money, you can't do it. You have to not do it for the money. Yeah. But I guess that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, oh, well, my kids are going to be gone. I'll be part-time. let me do some real estate. This is fun. It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that why? So you touched on something. Is that why so many, it seems like so many doctors are moving to like a non-insurance model where they're repositioning their businesses or trying to, like, I don't know a lot about the industry, but I see that happening. I feel like they're
Yeah,
getting away from insurance. They're charging more money. They have like members and things. People are
yeah.
doing creative things in medicine, I've noticed.
Yeah, I'm seeing two directions. I'm seeing one direction where they're joining, like working for a university or a big company, like here in, do you guys have WellMed where you are? I don't know if you have WellMed.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
But it's a big company. Like people are either they're closing their practice and working that way, or
Yeah.
they're doing concierge where they don't
Yeah.
send anything to the insurance and it's cash. It's just
Yeah.
a survival mode. It's just
Yeah.
a survival mode. I'm seeing a lot of doctors, and I guess, like I said before, they've probably already been in it, and I just didn't know, doing other investing, and I think everyone should encourage doctors to do that, because otherwise they're going to quit.
Yeah.
That's actually one of my concerns, is like, who, if everyone finds out about real estate and how fun it is and how you can make money, who's going to be a fireman? Who's going to be a police officer? Who's going to be a doctor? Because you know what I'm saying, or you know, work in an ambulance. I mean, like, and so to me, teachers, you know, principals, whatever, like, I feel like if we can find a way to help everyone do this, then they can stay in their jobs, because we need doctors, we need police officers, we need teachers, vice principals, and we need all those. But if people can have both and like kind of juggle both, that might be, that's why I love Pace, because I'm like, he and what his community are doing, it's almost like saving our country in a way. I know it's a little profound, but I think deeply about it, because if doctors can make money and then also be doctors, then they can be doctors and not worry about the money, because they're getting it from another income stream. And so I think that's really important that we have that, because there's a lot of doctors that are quitting. And they're going into real estate.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. It sucks, because there's only so many spots in a medical school class. And that's why I get frustrated too I shouldn't say this, it's probably extremely non-PC, but I get frustrated when women go into medicine and then they have a baby and quit. I wish that there was a way to have them kind of know up front, hey, it's really hard to juggle it all. So when you go out, just don't quit. Maybe work part-time with another woman who wants to work part-time. You know, you took up a spot where there's only so many spots. And so I really wish there was a way, maybe down the road I don't know how, but I want women to be in medicine, but I just want them to know up front, it's super, super challenging to juggle it all. And again, if they had that little bit of real estate, and they could be a mom and be a doctor, just learning that you can do it all. You just have to be very organized about it. And so that's a concern of mine, like, who's going to go into this if they're going to be burnt out and not, you know, do well.
Yeah. So. Well, such a good point. So, like, let me go backward for a second, thinking about when you're choosing your career path, one of the things that attracted you to medicine was the idea of freedom. Like, and I am just wondering, when did you start to think about it? Are we talking high school, junior high, college? When did you start thinking?
Yeah, well, my dad was a physician, and I think, so it was kind of always around me. I was really social, and I was told by people, like, there's no way you can be a doctor. You know, you're not smart enough and stuff like that. Ooh, that just would make me mad, because I don't think I sounded intelligent, if that's the best way to put it, because I didn't. I wasn't a student the way I needed to be. And I was kind of like legally blonde, like, hey, I think I'll go to medical school. It was literally like that. But in the middle of college, I realized, oh my gosh, if I just do X, Y, and Z, I'm smart.
Right.
I can do this. And so I became a serious student. I know it's very strange, because a lot of people, they're smart from the get-go. They're top of the class. I was not that person. That's how I know that anyone can do anything, because if I can go through the classes I went through, anyone can do it. It's all about discipline. Because I was not the greatest student. I wasn't stupid, but I was definitely an A, B student. Totally fine with that. I mean,
Yeah.
my mom told me, she's passed now, but she told me I would make a great cruise ship director. And I know she meant it because it's a positive, like there's
You're
nothing wrong with
outgoing.
because I
Yeah.
was very social and I love talking to people. So she meant it like, hey, that would fit your personality. But I was like, I don't know if that's going to pay a lot of money. I didn't really, I thought, okay, so what she was trying to say is you're social, you're not academic. But she didn't mean it in a bad way. But I just kind of kept pushing myself. I did not get into medical school. I was waitlisted 2 years in a row because I'm not awesome at taking standardized tests. So I took the MCAT and didn't do that well. I did okay. But I just kept trying. I kept working. I kept volunteering, and I just wouldn't let go of it. And then I found out about podiatry school. I'm like, what is a podiatrist? And followed around several doctors, and they do surgery. They work in the hospital. They're doctors. They have an office. I mean, it's just very concentrated in one part of the body, the foot and ankle. And like, this is great. And it's funny. A lot of Mormons, I know Pace is Mormon or he was raised Mormon, but a lot of Mormons are in podiatry. And I thought that was really interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. And I'm like, why? And then it's because it offers you a good life balance. Because with podiatry, you can make it how you want. Like if I lived in downtown Chicago, I could work the ERs and do shifts, and because people think about it, people shoot their foot by accident, or there's different things that can happen. So I could be that, or I could be a person who works part-time. I could be a mom. So it's a very cool field for women, podiatry, in my opinion. So.
So you were looking for something where you could make some pretty good money, have some life balance.
Yeah.
Use your brain. Then you got challenged a little bit. You're like, hey, I'm smart. You wanted to prove it a little bit, right?
I had a little chip on my shoulder for sure.
Yeah.
That's always a good thing.
For sure.
In sports too, right? In sports, it's like there's so many people. Like, it's not Dustin Johnson. What's his name? Oh, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name right now. Well, I'll think of it in a little bit. But there's a golfer my son likes that always talks about that chip on his shoulder, and that's why he wins a lot. So
I think so. I think so. Yeah, especially if you call it chip, like just believing you belong, like believing that you belong, that there's nothing magical that the superstar person has that you couldn't develop.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. I mean, that's true with real estate, starting out making phone calls and talking to people. Well, I could talk to people and, starting to use terminology and whatnot. Yeah. So that's kind of, I'm like, well, to me, it's funny. I don't know how you think about this, but to me, and I guess this is, again, a mindset issue I have. I just always thought, okay, real estate, that's like secret, and words like escrow and amortization and all these things. Like, I just thought that was like, oh, that's kind of secret. Like, that's not my lane. You know what I mean? My lane is this lane, podiatry. And now I'm like, why do I think like that? Where's that from?
Yeah.
That you're like, I didn't realize, I always thought of myself as very open-minded, but I'm so narrow as far as, I don't know why I did that my whole life, or why do I think like I can't know this?
Yeah.
And maybe it's because YouTube and just realizing, hey, you can know lots of things. Maybe like my age, we didn't have YouTube. And
yeah, I think there was something to that. I think I felt that a little bit kind of growing up, that the time period that we did, there was a little more, what's the word? You felt more like in a silo. People would ask you, what do you do? And then they would put you into that box, and we put ourselves into that box also. And information was harder to access for sure. And then we also, doctor's kind of a kick-ass gig. So you begin to identify you're proud of it. And you begin probably to identify yourself as that thing also. But the only thing that's not so good about that is you then, you're not open to other ways of looking at yourself. So I definitely had fallen into that during different periods of life where you define yourself based on what you're doing for money at that time.
Yeah.
So it's like,
sure.
I'm a doctor, I'm a teacher, or I'm a coach, I'm a this or that type of thing. So I think the cool thing about being an investor is that you're really just you're interested in all things related to making money. So just a more creative way to think of yourself. And that's probably, like you were saying earlier when we were chatting, that for any physician or anyone in medicine, that's probably a healthier way to look at just yourself.
Yeah.
If you're an investor that practices medicine.
Yeah, I think, I mean, again, I wish they would teach this in school to kids young. Who knows? Maybe you can bring it to your school. Like you can have a club, once a week or once a month or whatever it is where you teach kids. But I just feel like everybody should know about this, about real estate or investing, or everybody should know. And a lot of people do. But I think some people, like for me, when I was going to school and then residency and then having kids, you're so busy that you just like you box yourself in, like you were saying, you box yourself in, like this is what I do. I'm a mom and I'm a podiatrist and that's it. But it shouldn't be that way. Everyone should know, hey, you can be doing this job and lots of things at the same time. And yeah, I think that's so good what you just said about boxing yourselves in. We need to unbox ourselves.
Yeah, I think like being focused on a goal is a good thing, but in my own life, I found there were a few periods of time where I was so focused on achieving a certain thing that I was intentionally ignoring other things.
Yeah.
And so that was not always for the best. So I've learned as I've gone deeper into life that you can do both. You can be focused on a goal, but then you want to make sure you're always growing and that you're adding new areas of knowledge, to your life that can, not so that you're good now and you're going to reach this goal that you have in mind, but also that you're prepared for the future.
That's so good. That's really good. That's really good. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to figure all this stuff out as I go, but I can tell you, I'm very frustrated that I didn't know this stuff. I didn't learn about that earlier. So I guess all I can do is stop whining about it and do something about it.
It seems like you're doing that.
Yeah. I don't want to sit there, oh, what was me or whatever like that. It's like, well, let's go,
Yeah.
There's different famous people like Grant Cardone. He started his journey in his 50s, right?
Yeah.
Is that true? Look at that guy. Wow. And then I think I heard Colonel Sanders also started in his 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your boy Colonel Sanders with the Kentucky Fried Chicken, right?
Yeah, I don't eat that type of food. And I know you don't either, but
I try not to, but
yeah,
it's still a great story.
Yeah. So when you see these other people are like, stop whining, just keep pushing. And for me, even if, I know it sounds terrible to say this because I'm not saying I'm not going to have a deal or do something one day, but it's just the education and the fun of kind of learning the new thing, all these new things. I love to learn so much. And I wasted time when I was young, not learning and goofing around. And now it's like, I can't wait to watch a video with Pace or do this with you and get to know you or go to a meetup. And it's just putting myself, in an uncomfortable situation. Sometimes it always ends up better with this community, with the sub 2 that I'm in, that we're in both in. So.
Yeah. It's a great community and you have such a cool story. So it's, if you were to try to tell someone, someone probably would look at your life and say, hey, you kind of have it made. You and your husband are both doctors, like why real estate? So I think you kind of already answered it, but what is it that attracts you to real estate, given that that's your background? Like if they don't know anything, they're just like 25 and it's like, well, what do you mean? Like, why don't you just keep doing what you're doing?
Well, it's again, back to Robert Kiyosaki's book. It's the rat wheel that, it's the rat wheel. Again, my husband's a really good doctor and he loves what we both enjoy it. It's not even just the money, but so just to explain it like this, if we go out of town, this will be perfect to understand. If we go out of town, we still have to pay our staff and pay for the office to keep going while we're gone. Okay. So that's an income loss. When our kids were younger, we would have to pay someone to watch our kids if we wanted to go away on our own. So that's a second loss. Okay. Then it's a third loss because you're not generating income. So how does that feel that when you take a vacation, which is really needed? It's unhealthy to not take a break no matter who you are in life. everyone needs to take a break, even if it means just driving an hour north and whatever.
For
So
sure.
when we take a break, it's a triple hit. Now, not anymore because my kids are older now, but I still do pay for someone to watch them. So there's not, an issue or whatever.
For
But
sure.
yeah. But so it's a triple hit. That's not a good way to live your life. It's very unhealthy. And it's like, I'm not an envious person. That's not my personality. But, when I see other people able to go on a vacation and easily be happy, well, the reason they're happy is because they're getting paid vacation. We don't get that. Or they have income coming in because they have rentals or a business that pays, whether they're sleeping or awake, things like that. So the difference, that's what's so bad about, unfortunately, being very honest about, certain jobs, doctor, and I guess a lawyer too. I'm trying to think, teacher. Well, no, teachers, it's different. It's different.
Yeah.
You guys have your summer off.
Because the summer,
But there's certain, so to me, it's like, that's not healthy to not go away on a trip and be happy, and I see it on my husband's face when we're on a trip. It's like he's miserable sometimes because I know he's stressing. And so part of this is I want to be able to help my husband be happy. I want to be happy, but I don't care at this point. I'm like, I'm 51, and if I have to move into, whatever, wherever to make it work, I mean, I just want my husband to be happy and healthy. And I want to teach my kids about having passive income. I think it's healthy. I think everyone should have a passive income. It shouldn't just be doctors. Everyone should learn how to have passive income so that you have a backup, so you're not unhappy.
Such a good point. So because if you have passive income, it then frees you up to think a little differently about your vocation or how you're going to spend the majority of your time.
And like I said, I mean, for me, I'm part-time. I might go even a little more part-time, but that way, when I'm with my patients, I'm truly there.
Right.
Who cares if I'm getting paid or not? That would be so cool to me, to be a doctor who's, you're getting paid, but if you're not, you're okay because you're okay.
Right.
And patients would probably think that's cool. I mean, I don't know. I'm getting a little deep, but I think about stuff like this all the time because I see a lot of doctors quitting, and it really worries me. I mean, young, like in their 30s, mid 30s, where they just came out and then they found out about stock market, real estate, whatever. They're like, I'm out of here. It's like, okay, but you just took a spot up for somebody that could have, so that's just like, I'm trying to like figure out, how do we get people to learn about this and not quit,
Yeah, I could see that. Well, I think you're onto something. I think if people don't have to do it to pay all their bills, if they have passive income, then maybe they can set it up in a way that makes the most sense for them, so that they can do it long term because they want to do it long term.
Yeah, or even it's funny because I've been thinking, I'm like, I would love to get in front of somebody in Congress, which I know this is crazy, but I'm like, what if they had a special way of taxing doctors so it wasn't so horrible? I mean, it's really horrible. Like, if you're a doctor, then you pay less tax instead of the most tax.
Right.
Because they're printing money anyway, so why do they care what they, you know what I mean? But instead of making it so miserable so that doctors quit, make it so that, hey, if you're a doctor and you serve this community this many years, you get this bonus, or doing something as an incentive instead of a disincentive. Because right now, I mean, the way it's set up, I don't know. I'm worried about like, who's going to be there if they all find out about this, little gem of real estate. So.
Yeah, who's going to want to continue to do that and be there in a physical spot and work really, really, really hard. It's a lot of years of education.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, I don't know. I start to think about these things, but right now I'm just trying to learn as much as I can about it, and I'm really doing this for my kids and my husband. It's not really for me, but it is too, but more them first.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and at the same time, I'll be doing this for me. But I just think it's so cool. Even I know Pace is kind of funny about real estate agents, but I was even thinking, oh, hi.
Hey, that's my beautiful wife in the background.
Hi. Oh, your dog is so cute.
Yeah, that's Charlie.
Hi, Charlie. I don't know if you can see my dog, Wrigley.
Yeah, I see him back there.
Say hi. Say hi, Wrigley. He's matching the
What's up,
chair.
Wrigley? That's
Say
great.
hi, Wrigley. He's like, what's going on?
That's funny.
Oh,
Well,
how
that
old's your
makes
dog? Oh, sorry.
so we have two hounds. One is really a baby. He's like 4 months old,
Oh, wow.
3.5 months old, and his name's Charlie. He's down there in the corner here. Let's take a look so we can see Charlie in there.
Oh, hello. Oh, he's so
Hey, little
cute.
buddy.
Oh,
He's
you
your
have
local.
a little door. That's awesome.
Yeah, we have a little doggy door, and then Willie is 2 years old. Let's see if we can see
Nice.
Willie over here. He's somewhere in the corner.
Oh, okay. He's hiding.
Yeah, he's hiding.
Does your dog love having another dog?
He does for the most part, but the baby is younger and he's at a different phase of life. So sometimes he's like really riled up in the morning and wants to play like a maniac. And the
Okay.
older dog's like, dude, please, like,
Yeah.
it's early.
That's funny. I think my dog would like it, but it's again another. We're so busy. I don't know. My husband's like, no more dogs. So
Yeah, super busy.
yeah.
Well, gives me like a great perspective on your journey and how you got to where you are and all that. And how did you and your husband meet?
We met in podiatry school.
Okay. You
Yeah,
guys
we
met.
met in podiatry school. Yeah, it's been really great because he loves to work, and it allowed me to be part-time. So
Oh, yeah.
I can, as the mom or whatever. So on my days
Mhm.
off, of course, days off means more work.
Right.
Doctor's appointments and taking care of other stuff so that he can work. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's been good. I mean, it's a great field. It's a great field, but again, you are trapped and it's not a good feeling. You don't, I don't want to go to work and be sad. I want to go to work and be happy. And I guess part of it's just kind of getting to my age, being 51, just kind of wanting something new, different. 20 years, I've been practicing 20 years. So I don't
It's a
think
long
there's
time.
yeah. And I think it's funny. I think like my generation and the people older than me, my dad's generation, I think we're really messed up. I think we're really messed up. And I think people younger than me, I admire them. And I think they're on the right track with the work-life balance. Maybe a little too good with the work-life balance. I think they need to kind of realize you do need to work too.
Right.
But,
Right.
balance. But I think my generation and my dad's generation had it so wrong. It was basically like looking down on you if you take vacation, looking down on you if you have freedom. Like you should be at work, you should be always miserable and working hard. And I'm not buying into it anymore at all. It's not good.
Yeah.
So,
Always just on the grind, like working. And I think the assumption there that you're describing is that it was something you didn't like you have to be willing to do what you don't like, which is sometimes necessary, but
yeah,
you don't want to get to the end of your life and say it was made up of doing all these things that I never liked. I don't think that's a successful life, right?
that's exactly what I mean. That's kind of what's coming. That's what's kind of since COVID. It again that really, COVID was horrible, but it did make a lot of people change in a way that maybe for the better for some people, maybe for some people worse. For me, it just opened my eyes up to a lot of things, and a lot of self-reflection about finances and like what are we doing?
Yeah.
We need to. So I think also too, we're at a point where like our kids are almost done with high school, and a lot of people I've talked to, they're like, your life is going to change a lot once you're an empty nester. You're going to have more time for each other and stuff and working out. So it could just also be a little bit of that too. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think that's a big part of it. So you two have been together since at least podiatry school. So we're talking 20 some years, right? 25 years.
Yeah, we've been married 20 years. So I've known him at least over 24, 25 years, something like that. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm really lucky. He's super supportive. I mean, right now, financially, it's not the best time for us. But he still is supporting me in this real estate journey.
That's cool.
Yeah. We kind of had to put the brakes on it a little bit, and I can't really do anything right now with it. And it's really not about me owning anything. It's about me learning because I want to teach my son, and my son is wanting to learn more about it. I might just do real estate like as a side job work, like, work as an agent or something like that, versus owning anything right now. It's like, I don't have time right now really for that, but my son's interested, so it's more for him.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, he's 18, so it's kind of cool, right? You were around kids that age, and
Totally. That's the way someone should be thinking at 18.
I know if we could go back in time, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, I try with students to just help open their mind a little bit to some things.
Doesn't
It's hard.
it amaze you when you see all these kids in sub 2 doing deals, 18, 19, 20, 22, whatever. Just so it's so cool. Like,
Yeah.
they don't even know how they know it's cool, but we are like, I mean, wow, to have those opportunities and they own their own future. It's awesome. I'm so happy when I see that. So,
yeah, it's super cool. It's such a good way to think of it too. It's like you want to own your own future because otherwise someone else will, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what I think is going on right now, and that's why. I mean, I wish I was in a situation where I could go and like kind of teach what Pace is teaching, like be like a disciple and, get out there and, maybe, I mean, I've thought, God, wouldn't that be cool if you could go out into places where kids have broken homes or they're not well off and they can't, they don't know any of this stuff, and just say, hey, let me teach you about this strategy. And I don't know. I thought about that too. Like, wow, that could change the world, or at least, the community, these kids that just don't have a chance, having a chance, opening their eyes up, because it's really just about making connections and getting on the phone and just kind of working with the community like sub 2.
Yeah.
You don't really have any money. You just have to make friends and just do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a good point. You might even be able to do something. Let's say if you transition into real estate, you can teach doctors, or share your knowledge, share your journey.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, there's all different ways to look at it. So I definitely can tell you, I don't want to be on my deathbed and not have had. I want to be able to look back and say, wow, I did that for 20 years and I kept going part-time, but I also did this other stuff, which allowed me to go on a trip with my husband where he wasn't upset or sad.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Or, help pay for my kids' dreams, whatever that is. So we'll see where it takes me. I don't know. I mean, right now I'm kind of, we talked about this like in the education stage, and hopefully down the road make some, changes in my life that allows us to be more free.
Yeah, I think you will.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, I can see you want to do it. You recognize it. So I think there's like the motivation to do it. And I think it seems like anytime you start thinking about the end and then working backwards, you're going to fill the time in differently.
That's such a good point. That's such, and I know that Paces talk about that, looking like starting at the end and then moving down, because he talks about like he wants to make this much money. So how do you do that? Okay, you have to do that per year, this per month, this per week, and I think that's a great way to think about it. And that's kind of what I'm going to show my kids. Like, hey, if you want to be, whatever, an accountant or whatever, you have to take this test, and then going backwards. I think that's good. But we've talked about your health and how you take care of yourself, and I think that's also something that doctors are, not all, but some are not good at. They just go to work. So I'm trying to work more on yoga and more eating that healthy, not eating so much, and kind of that whole circle of health and well-being, in addition to helping my kids, So
I think that's so good. I've been on different sides of it, but I've really like doubled and tripled down the last 10 years. It's
with your health, you mean, or
and particularly with fitness. I mean, I was never like totally out of shape or anything, but I just made like a renewed commitment maybe 10 years ago or something like that. Like I said, I wasn't really off the wagon exactly, but sometimes you just get busy. Like life gets busy. You feel like you don't have the time, or you don't have the money maybe to invest in certain things. But like when you really consider the whole thing, it's just, you go to zero at the end. You're like, wait a second. So how is it that I don't have time or I don't have the money? Like, you want to be within reason, right? But if there's something you think you need for your health that's really important, that's $30 a month, how are you not doing it? Like,
Yeah.
it's just crazy. Or
Yeah.
if you really, when you go to a certain gym and it's like you really feel alive and there's other people in a community that make you feel like you're in the right place and it's very motivating, and that gym is $30 or more a month than the other one, like, you should do the one that is going to keep you going there.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
it's just worth it. Like,
For
if you're
sure.
what if you're well, you're going to make more money, you're going to achieve more in life, you're going to enjoy your life more. It's just, there's no way to lose with that.
Yeah,
So
I
it's an
agree. I
investment.
mean, I think that's like, I think that's the number one thing is, that's the number one thing is I try during the week, the first thing I do in the morning, and I haven't done this recently as well as I would like, but I'm getting back to it, is exercising first thing in the morning. I don't know about you, but I'm exhausted at the end of the
Yeah.
day. There's no way it's going to happen otherwise. So that's the
Yeah.
first thing I do. And even if it's just walking, I don't do anything hard. I just,
Yeah.
weights 30 minutes, walk or elliptical, something 30 minutes. So it's an hour. And then I'll try to walk my dog. And
Yeah.
so nothing hard. And then I feel like it sets the day. It sets your mindset to like, okay, I'm already being disciplined and doing the right
Mhm.
thing and trying to be healthy. And then it like makes you want to eat healthier because you don't want to
Yeah.
offset your exercise. And definitely getting to this age, like I'm about 10 or 15 pounds more than I was when I was 40. So my goal now is, okay, without being stressed out, how am I going to get back to that weight? And, I have to be honest, don't eat your
Yeah.
kids' junk food. But so that
Sure.
just kind of, and even if it's there, just not wanting to eat it, just wanting to eat
Yeah.
healthier food. So that's kind of something I'm working on right now. And I just bought a bunch of veggies and,
Yeah,
um,
that's great.
yeah, and I think, and it's funny. So how it ties into real estate is there's an accountant that he has a podcast. I won't say his name because I don't want people to get mad, but he says he won't work with obese people because he only wants to work with disciplined people. And I was like, ooh, that's not very PC to say. But I mean, I guess
No.
what he was saying is he only wants to work with disciplined people because he's, I guess, very disciplined. But
Wow.
yeah, I was like, wow, okay, but I mean, I get what he's trying to say is like he's very serious and it's like very disciplined. And I'm like, okay, um, I like to work with all people and help them, with
Yeah.
whatever situation they're in. But it's different. I'm in medicine, but I thought that was interesting that he's so focused that he's like, if they're that way with food, they're going to be that way with money. Like he wants to have that discipline, and it was just kind of an interesting way of thinking about it. I was like, oh, okay,
Interesting.
maybe a
Yeah.
little extreme, but
But I could see the point.
I see what
I
he's
get
trying
the
to
point.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Some,
guess maybe he had a bad deal with somebody who wasn't disciplined, and who
yeah,
knows, he probably had a bad experience or something. But
could be for sure. Although there are some business people that's what they do. That's their, that's all they do, and they
yeah,
don't. I'm
they're
not
all
recommend.
time.
I'm not recommending that, but all
Yeah,
they do is make calls. They just, that's their thing, and they work around the
yeah,
clock. It'd be better for them if they were fitter, but they
yeah.
they might still, of course, like, fulfill their commitments in that. But
I will say
yeah,
one thing though for like this sub 2 thing, and I don't like sitting making phone calls all day and
yeah,
watching videos all day. I feel like after I do that, so I'm trying also right now to learn like to do like I'm like after I do this video with you, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna walk around
right,
and do like
right,
I don't like you're at school teaching and
yeah,
vice
yeah,
principal, you're walking around
yeah.
like you're moving, and I'm also the same way. I'm moving. I don't
Always,
like sitting. So that's the one thing I'm like, I don't think this part of it's going to be good for me. I like to get out and move and talk to people. So I'm going to have to see how that plays into this. But I don't
yeah.
know. It'd be kind of cool to figure out, how to make it work.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think with fitness, it's kind of one of those things that has to be taught to. It's an investment. So, like, little changes make a big difference over the long haul. Little tiny changes,
Yeah.
if you stick with them. And I think that's the hardest thing is people get into an all or nothing mindset. They're either like really going hard and pushing themselves, or they're not doing anything. But it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to like dramatically disrupt your life. Even just, it sounds crazy, but if you're doing a push up in the morning, like one, it's like, well, that's not much. Well, it's not. But if it's two the next day, and let's say we start at 10 and we add one a week. That's pretty good. So
Yeah.
maybe you started at 10 and then at the end of the year you're doing, whatever, 62 or something.
That's such a good point. I
So
can tell you, like, I think it's the person, like, I'm definitely guilty of what you just said, because I was always an all or none. So
yeah,
so like with eating, like I'm like, oh well, I already blew it. I had this much of the ice cream container. I'm just gonna eat the
right,
whole ice cream container.
right. Just crush it. Yeah.
It's gross. And it's funny, if you watch thin people or fit people, they're so disciplined and they don't even know it. Like for people that like love to eat and like have a sugar addiction or whatever, like when I watch people that are disciplined, it's not even important to them. Like my husband's very thin and his family's very thin, and they don't even, he likes to eat, but it's not, they don't snack, and he's not like obsessed with it or anything. He's not, and his whole family's like that. And I think it's a learned behavior. But I think the more you follow successful people, not only with food, but even in real estate or whatever, business people, it's so important to see like, what are they doing? And I think that's why I'm attracted to Pace and this group is he says, here's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You don't need to reinvent the wheel, and come with us and do this with us and try this. And so it's just fun. It's just a fun time. I thought, 51, I'm always going to be doing this. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm changing. I'm going to change course a little bit. And
it's awesome.
So I'm excited about it. It's definitely uncomfortable, but it's okay.
Yeah. Well, that's super badass. So it's uncomfortable, but it's you, obviously, to me, it's more uncomfortable for you to the idea of that you're just going to have this feeling and this knowledge and recognize that you're not exactly where you want to be and just proceed anyway. You don't, that's more uncomfortable, right?
Well, I will tell you, this is the crazy thing is we're like sitting here still talking, which is great. And I love to talk, but I really hate social media. Like I hate it. I don't like it. It's a time sucker. Yeah. And so I'm super uncomfortable with it. And so I don't like it at all. But this is something that I'm trying to overcome. I mean, I have an Instagram account, and now this So so this for me is like, oh, I hate it.
Yeah. Well, you're doing great. And this has been a really fun conversation. So you like the official first episode.
I know. I'm so excited for you all. I know you're going to do great. So I'm totally going to follow you and watch all your journey podcasts.
Yeah. Well, it was really a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much.
And I we're going to do some deals together. I know you keep saying.
I know. Now I'm very determined.
Just get the knowledge. But
I already have some things to tell you about that I found. So.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for this. This was great.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. All right, Jessica, we're going to sign off here. And
have a great day.
Yeah, you too. We'll talk soon. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks.